with disabilities perform the same or better than their peers without disabilities, yet still the differently abled face so many employment challenges in this country.
It is time we start building a workforce that works for all. A workforce that is diverse, inclusive, and equitable for those with intellectual differences.
And for those with developmental differences, too.
A workforce that recognizes that our greatest strengths lie in our differences.
Join us, Delivering Jobs and the SHRM Foundation, in creating pathways to 1 million jobs and leadership opportunities. Please visit deliveringjobs.org.
Furnished by the Entertainment Industry Foundation.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-785-9132. That's 800-785-9132. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-785-9132.
Some gifts don't come wrapped in packages with bows and ribbons. They aren't hidden away, then torn into with reckless abandon. Some gifts are needs, like food or shelter, and those can be the most precious of all. In a year with fewer red kettles, help rescue Christmas for those facing poverty with a $25 monthly donation. Enlist in Love's Army at GiveWestwood.org.
Country's biggest songs with a holiday twist. Here's another real country Christmas favorite. From New Paltz to Newburgh and all points in between.
Real country.
Maybe I'll dye my hair. Maybe I'll move somewhere. Maybe I'll get a car. Maybe I'll drive so far they'll all lose track. Me, I'll bounce right back. Maybe I'll sleep real late. Maybe I'll lose some weight. Maybe I'll clear my junk. Maybe I'll just get drunk on apple wine. Me, I'll be just fine and dandy. Lord, it's like a hard candy Christmas. I'm barely getting through tomorrow, but still I won't let sorrow bring me way down. I'll be fine and dandy. Lord, it's like
Here's Dolly Parton with Hard Candy Christmas, Real Country. Did you catch Saturday Night Live this past weekend? One of the cast members broke out into her Dolly impression during SNL's Weekend Update and also performed a couple of her favorite holiday songs.
Operator, please connect me with 1982. I need to make apologies for what I didn't do. I sure do need to tell her that I thought the whole thing through. And now it's clear that she is what I should have held on to. They say hindsight's 20/20, but I'm nearly going blind from staring at her photograph and wishing she was mine. It's that same old lost love story. It's sad, but it's true. There was a time when she was mine in 1982. Postman, can you sell me a special kind of stamp? One to send a letter from this crazy lonely man back into the wasted years of my living past. I need to tell her now I know how long my love will last. They say hindsight's 20/20, but I'm nearly going blind from staring at her photograph and wishing she was mine. It's that same old lost love story. It's sad, but it's true. There was a time when she was mine in 1982. Losing my mind, going back in time to 1982.
Now in Beacon and Newburgh at 96.5 FM.
Sitting on a bench at West Town Mall, he sat down in his overalls and asked me, "You waiting on a woman?" I nodded yeah and said, "How about you?" He said, "Son, since 1952 I've been waiting on a woman." When I picked her up for our first date, I told her I'd be there at 8, and she came down the stairs at 8:30. She said, "I'm sorry that I took so long, didn't like a thing that I tried on, but let me tell you, son, she sure looked pretty. Yeah, she'll take her time, but I don't mind waiting on a woman." He said the wedding took a year to plan. You talk about an anxious man. I was nervous, waiting on a woman. And then he nudged my arm like old men do and said, "I'll say this about the honeymoon, it was worth it, waiting on a woman." And I don't guess we've been anywhere. She hasn't made us late, I swear. Sometimes she does it just 'cause she can do it. of life. It'll be the same with your young wife. You might as well go on and get used to it. She'll take her time, 'cause you don't mind waiting on. Show the man's always the first to go, and that makes sense, 'cause I know she won't be ready. So when it finally comes my time and I get to the other side, I'll find myself a bench if they've got any. I hope she takes her time, 'cause I don't mind waiting on.
On 920 WGHQ, 1260 WBNR.
Good morning. You're now listening to Kingston Community Radio, airing on FM 92.5 and AM 920 WGHQ, Kingston, New York. This programming is brought to you by our listeners and corporate underwriters who are interested in presenting local community radio. The opinions expressed on this program do not represent those of Pamel Broadcasting or Kingston Community Radio. Listeners are encouraged to send in $10 per month to help bring this program to you. Mail your contributions to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. For more information or to donate online, visit our website at mykcr.org. And good morning, this is Dan Gatis, and thank you for tuning in, sharing the morning with us this December 16th. And 18 degrees here in uptown Kingston, give or take a degree or two here or there. And the weather, a little bit of talk about the weather these days. Today, cloudy skies in the afternoon. Snow showers starting with a high of 28. There's about a 50% chance of snow throughout the later part of the day. And tonight, that's where the action is. That's when the action is. 100% chance of snow. Low of 21, 100% chance of that white stuff, and a foot or more accumulation overnight. And Thursday, a 90% chance of more snow expected during the morning, giving way to partly cloudy conditions in the afternoon. A high of 27 with 1 to 3 additional inches for Thursday day. And Thursday night, a few passing clouds, low 14. And Friday, a few morning clouds, but mostly sunny, up to about 30 degrees on Friday. Friday night, a little cloudy, but it's a clear sky more or less, and a low of 9, single digit temperatures.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed. We are a global force for good. Support causes that matter. Change lives. Change communities. Change the world. We can do more together than we can alone. Join in. Experience the joy of serving. Be part of the movement. Give back. Let's unite the world for good. We are Lions. You can be too. Visit weserve.org.
Do you love the festive decorations and colorful lights of the holiday season? Visit Central Hudson's Instagram page, Central_Hudson, to vote for your favorite photo capturing the best decorated home in the Hudson Valley. Be sure to follow our Instagram page so that you may choose your favorite photo. Hurry, voting ends at noon on Wednesday, December 30th.
Hi, I'm Paula Strang, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
And we're here with Kingston Community Radio on Kingston Community Radio, WGHQ 920 on your AM dial, 92.5 FM, and streaming online at mykcr.org. 331-9255. And visit us often on our Facebook page, facebook.com, groups KCR920. Now let's run to the on-air studio with Greg Chorvas, who's going to kick off the day. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Dan Gatis, as you're running to the studio. And we have two callers. Okay, let me guess. One is Supervisor McKenna?
Bingo.
And let me take another guess. Would the other one happen to be another supervisor in a northern town in Ulster County?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Bill.
Wow,
Hey, Fred.
Look at this.
Doing well.
It's not even 7:05, and I'm batting 1,000.
It's a good day. You almost want to stop it there and go have some coffee and relax.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, it's a good plan.
So how are you gentlemen doing this morning?
So I have an embarrassing question to ask because I didn't stay up late last night.
Uh-oh.
Did Ian win?
No.
Third place.
Well, that's very respectable.
Yes. And I kind of figured, being he was a 15, the Carter won, the 15-year-old.
Okay.
They probably fell in love. I mean, he's a kid. Who wouldn't? Okay?
Right.
You know, with that voice that he's got.
And who
That's
was
a fair point, Greg. That kid was charming.
Yeah.
He was very charming, and it was hard not to be drawn to him. You know, his youth, and he had that big smile, and he was really talented. He's a special individual too.
What amazed me was his composure. His maturity, how he handled himself on national TV.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. For a 15-year-old, oh my God.
Yeah.
He really had it together for a young man. And a really compelling life story for a young man too. He had his brother who was challenged with autism, and you could tell they're a really close-knit family. And it was an inspiring story all the way around.
It was. And good for Ian. He should feel very, very happy about himself. What a fantastic showing.
And what incredible exposure to the country. Now his name is all over the country, and people have heard his music. So.
Sure.
Yeah, you can go a long way with being in third place. A long way with being a finalist.
Even the top five.
Absolutely.
Even the top five.
Yeah, people will be looking for him. He's got a very characteristic voice too, so he's going to have a lot of work to do.
What did Sheldon say about him, Blake? That he swallowed glass or
gargling glass,
or inherited fire.
I like that.
I agree with you, Bill. You really can't lose to be to make the final cut the way that Ian did. Oh my goodness, what a standout performance he had, and I think his voice is so unique in so many ways. It'll be a long time before anyone forgets what he brought to the show. And
what do they say? There's no such thing as bad press. I mean, he was just phenomenal for weeks, week after week.
It was pretty incredible. It was, it was, for our part of the Hudson Valley to have him compete, and I feel like it was something people just enjoyed and rallied upon, having a local person involved in that. I think it meant more to us, especially right now, trying to latch on to some good things and enjoy the holidays and be together while we can't be physically together. I think that was the perfect medicine for all.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, folks, over here at Woodstock, we're talking about it. It's a local boy.
Yeah. I just, Greg and I are possessive because of Sorgerties, but I think you're right on that. That wasn't just a phenomenon for Sorgerties. I saw Ian signs in Ulster and other towns as well. I think that meant a lot to the Hudson Valley as a whole.
Oh, yes.
Eyewitness News this morning, they had mentioned the 5 finalists and the winner. And WHUD that I generally listen to in the morning out of Peekskill. They mentioned about Ian, talked him up, mentioned Sorgetes a couple of times, and a very, very good point. It was a good thing in some really dark times that we've encountered, and we've been fortunate that we've had quite a number of events, activities that at least have given people something to smile about, something to be happy about, something to cheer about.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the drive-in, the community drive-ins, I mean, that was just phenomenal. I will say this, though, after 4 nights, 2 last week, last night and the night before, it's enough.
You're ready for a good night's sleep.
Yeah, which is not going to happen tonight.
Not going to happen tonight. And actually, while we're talking about tonight, yesterday at the Supervisors Association, we had Bob Wager, who is the head of the Highway Superintendents Association for Ulster County. And I guess the superintendents met on Monday via Zoom. Yep. And, there's a little concern that with the COVID, and they're all, not all, but from time to time they're shorthanded and whatnot, they're worried about being able to get through and take care of the snow this year. I think the end result is that, everybody is comfortable that it's all going to happen. But one of the takeaway points is that, and I think I suggested that the supervisors just remind our constituents that it may take a little longer. We may be down a man or two or a couple of men and not be able to plow quite as efficiently or as quickly. So it really in this pandemic, I just ask everybody to be patient and be kind to your plowman.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think you raise a valid point, and it's worth noting. Most of the plow routes that have been developed for every town by the highway departments sort of model the idea that you can complete a route in 4 hours and do that twice during a regular shift.
Yeah.
And because COVID is indiscriminate and it's hitting highway departments particularly hard right now, some communities don't have their normal staffing. And our community response to that is that we are going to share manpower between the towns, which is the appropriate thing to do. But your point is valid. That probably means you're not going to see a truck every 4 hours. You might not see a truck for 6 hours.
Right. And, one of the points that Bob brought up, and it's a very valid one, a lot of communities have some unique roads. It's one thing to plow down 212. It's a pretty defined road. But some of the back roads are a little less defined, and it becomes a little risky to put somebody from Sorgetes up on Hutchin Hill or Mink Hollow or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So even with the sharing of manpower, things are going to move slower. We're going to have people who may not be familiar with the equipment or the roads. But I think, the end result is they will get plowed. People need to be a little more patient.
Yep. We kind of joke, and Greg will appreciate this. We have the same scenario, Bill. There's a number of roads, that you just can't show up and get it right. And, if we sent a 30-year plow driver to Chimney Road during a snowstorm, I almost guarantee they get in trouble. And I think Greg would agree that road is a difficult challenge.
Absolutely, yes. And I've handled that on more than one occasions in years past, and several drivers have gotten themselves into a bind on Chimney. And of course, years ago, when I was doing a regular route for the highway department, helping Al Ferraro out, I'm going back a ways. I was up in the western part of the township, Stoll Road, Goat Hill, Artis, Osnos, all those lovely roads. And to have somebody come in that's a stranger, it's going to be difficult. You get some of those cul-de-sac roads. You get You get a plow driver. They over time will develop. Usually, at least I did, a relationship with the people just to help them out in pushing the snow to a cul-de-sac with multiple driveways. And for a new person to come in, that's probably not going to happen. So people do have to be understanding. That's a very good point, and appreciate you gentlemen bringing that up.
Well, and the other side of it is just trying to explain where some of these back roads are. You know, again, everybody might be familiar with the main roads throughout the different towns, but to explain where all those roads that you just mentioned, you know, it all takes time and effort. So,
yeah, and you know, I think it's just worth noting again, even the most experienced plow operator, you know, if you don't have a sense of the lay of the land, it's going to be a challenge, and that person will respond in a more cautious way and take more time.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a wide shoulder? Do you have a soft shoulder? You know, a deep ditch on that turn? I mean, there's a lot of variables.
Sure, when you go in there, especially when you have snowfall rates, what they're forecasting overnight, and the landscape is solid white, and you have no idea where the shoulders of the road are. And, you know, two good examples. You mentioned the one, Fred, Chimney Hole, and then the other was the road they referred to as Mrs. Matthews, a stone's throw from where you live.
Yes, yeah, that's another.
That was another gem. That was another beauty. How the town inherited that, I have no clue.
I actually think
we've got one or two of those up here too.
Yeah,
still scratching my head.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult. I mean, once you take on that responsibility, you own it for eternity.
Yes.
But, you know, it's funny because a project that's common amongst folks in Bill and I's position is adopting new road standards to make sure that the roads we adopt are built so that they will last and built so that they're safe. And when we look at those modern road standards and we apply it to some of the roads that we inherited from decades ago, you really leave scratching your head when you think about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and you got to remember when those roads, a lot of those roads went in, it was probably just horse and buggy.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know, we have a number of private development roads that we don't take care of, but that folks have approached the town about taking over. And there's one or two of them that they don't meet standards, but, you know, somebody obviously put a lot of money into them, and we say, well, you know, they don't meet standards. And then they'll say, well, what about, you know, Yerry Hill Road, which has an incredible incline? They said, yeah, well, you know, that was 150 years ago we got that one. That was before they had standards.
Yeah.
So we're stuck with it.
Well, you know, you think also Platte Cove is a wonderful example. That's a mountain pass.
Yeah.
And that road was never intended to be a four-season road. That was used in the summertime, and that was pretty much it. And to the degree that as people have bought property and built farther into that, and we've had to extend our maintenance farther up, that poses challenges that, quite frankly, are dangerous. You know, when you get those sleety conditions where the roads are icy, and you have a 70 or 80,000 pound truck trying to navigate that's just bad math.
Yes, it is. And jumping off that subject, but jumping back onto the subject with The Voice and Ian Flanagan last night, and I think both of you made the same comments about it was a good thing. It was very, very uplifting. I had mentioned, you know, about having something to cheer about and something to smile about and be happy about. This past Sunday, the First Responders Children's Foundation, over 500 children, needy, disadvantaged children, received bags or boxes dictated on their ages from the First Responders Children's Foundation, and of course Bob and Larry Circusano. They supplemented it with toys that they would normally do for their Christmas in the Village, which happened to a much lower key, but there was not exchanges of gifts. There was not visiting Santa Claus, etc. And he had a DJ up there, so there was music. It was probably well into the 50s. I know at 9 o'clock, while I was helping unload stuff, I took my hoodie off. It was just a beautiful day, and I made it known to everybody I was in charge of the weather that day. But over 500 needy, disadvantaged children were taken care of. And those bags, and Fred, you were there, those bags and those boxes, the gifts that those children got, it had a value well over $100 in some cases.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure every one of those bags. Those American Girl dolls, in many cases, are $100 on their own.
Sure.
And
then the headset speakers. What was the other one that really? Oh, because you can't even buy one. From what the CEO that was there from the foundation, I believe it was the Hess truck. They had to have hundreds of those things.
But Greg, being there with those folks and meeting, I can't think of the founder's name, but he had a successful career in the toy business, but he was inspired during
Scott,
9/11
wasn't it?
to come up with the First Responders Foundation. And to see that evolve into what they did Sunday for over 500 families, wow, that was pretty. That was a pretty incredible moment, and Bob and Larry, of course, right in the thick of it. But I was really, it was a moment to watch Bob accept the scholarship in his name from the foundation. There will be an annual scholarship awarded on his behalf for I think it was like $40,000, wasn't it?
Wow, that's impressive.
It was a big number.
It
was a big number.
It was a really big number, but what a nice moment to share with them, where they can, their efforts will be acknowledged and memorialized for a long time into the future. That was a pretty special moment, and the gentleman who started all that was so humble. Oh my goodness, he was, he's had a successful career. He has no drive or motivation other than just wanting to be helpful to do what he does, and that was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars what they did the other day. That was just it was just uplifting and really what the holiday spirit is all about. And I got to give it to Bob and Larry. They always pick good weather. You're right. It was like 50 degrees. It felt like spring. It was really comfortable to be outside. And there had to have been, what do you think, 30 or 40 volunteers, Greg?
Oh, yes. Yeah, at least that. And, obviously he had the staff from Sawyer Motors, Sawyer Chevy, but then also there were quite a number. It was good to see quite a number of high school kids. Now, of course, obviously one of them was his Bob's grandson, Caden, and there was another one that was there that was related to. But anyway, it was, yes, I would say 30 or more volunteers.
Yeah, it was really a very special moment. I was so glad I went.
And once again, the drive up worked seamlessly, doing the double lanes. I guess the biggest challenge, and if that was going to be the biggest challenge of the day, was everything was planned to be put on the ground, on the pavement, in between the tables that separated, so you had two lanes of traffic. And of course, from the rain the night before, the ground was wet.
Right.
So we just had to get some tarps and some paint cloths and throw it down. And so, like I said, I think that was the biggest. That was the only challenge of the day, if you call it a challenge. But what a great day.
Greg, I don't know. I know you don't keep a diary, but it would be a curious and relevant read, especially as you go into the future, because I think the first time we did something like that was when we gave away masks during the spring, the first half of the pandemic. And that day we kind of winged it to put it together, but it worked and it was successful. But you could see the experience that we gained from the mask giveaway and how that basic infrastructure applied to the toy giveaway. It was pretty much seamless.
That's a good point. That's a very good
You
point.
use the same process time and time again, and you just refine it.
Yeah. It was, Bill, you kind of build off of what worked and what was successful, and you kind of evolve every year. And, many years ago, I remember we were doing the Garlic Festival, and as I look back on the experience as a vendor and as a council member, that evolved too. And, every time we made a change, it kind of enhanced the experience for guests that came. But even from a vendor perspective, it kind of gave new and unique opportunities to kind of interface with customers that you might not have been able to get to because the crowds were so dense. But we found ways to reinvent the space that kind of made a flow of traffic that was more welcoming.
Right.
And that was as a evolution over the years. And now it's Greg and his staff, and having those meetings and being open-minded, and you kind of learn more from the post meeting than you did from the planning meeting on the first time.
Same with Martin and the bike race, the women's bike race. I mean, the first year that was a chore, and it was a much smaller project. But each year it gets easier and easier. I mean, we should hardly have to have meetings at this point.
And Fred, you mentioned about the post meeting, the pre meetings. I remember years ago we would meet 3-4 times a year. And when I say we, I mean I'm talking about all the different entities, all the law enforcement agencies, Kingston Bus, Kingston Trolley, Ulster. Well, they no longer call it rural transportation, but the Ulster County bus system. So literally every entity, and now probably the most important one is the post meeting rather than the pre. The pre is really just. It's probably not even necessary, but to have that post briefing, and I can see in the future that they'll be done virtually, where you wouldn't have to, because it's very, very difficult to pull so many. I believe it's 27 different entities that participate in the Garlic Festival, but to pull all them together can be a difficult task. So, not letting complacency set in, and while things are fresh in your mind, I'm a very, very firm believer. We are going to, on Thursday, which now is not going to happen, just have a post briefing on the configuration and the way we did the parking lot, which was kind of backwards to what we're normally doing for the Garlic Festival and other events that we host, just because of the placement of the video screen on Small World Avenue. But here again, after the first night, the following morning, we determined now we should do this way, and we shouldn't have done this that way, made a few minor changes. So it is a works in progress with almost any event. And the one thing you never want to do for anything is let complacency set in and say, oh, we're experts at this and there's no room for improvement, because that's not the case with anything. Hey, before we run out of time, I just do want to mention, overwhelmingly, both propositions, Sorgedy's Central School District, were passed last evening. I think that's a big credit to Superintendent Kirk Reinhardt, Holly Brooker, who is the Community Relations Supervisor at Ulster BOCES, Christine Conti, who was the Community Relations Supervisor for Sorgedy's. The three of them just did one phenomenal job, not just getting the word out, but also getting the facts out. And I think that was there were several reasons. That was the primary reason that it passed so overwhelmingly, so convincingly. And I know on two different occasions we had those individuals, once Superintendent Reinhardt, and then just 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, Holly and Christine.
Yep. Agreed, Greg. I think they did a really good job explaining it and explaining the need and what the budget consequences would be and why this is the most opportune time to do that. And congratulations to them. They did a really good job, and glad that the folks that took the time to go out did exactly that.
Yeah, and the other thing is it addresses much needed repairs to the buildings, much needed upgrades. That second proposition had more to do with energy efficient upgrades. So that's going to address it, not just short term, but long term. And if it had not passed, inevitably those repairs still would have had to been made. Those upgrades still would have had to taken place. And then that burden would have fallen on just the taxpaying community of Sorgetes rather than the, was it 66% in state funding? For every dollar we're getting 66 cents?
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
That's good, right, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
that's
when we
smart.
had Kurt on as a guest, he explained that well. And I still found it odd that we had to vote to ask for the extra reimbursement. But, there's we've all had enough experience dealing with regulations that...
Yeah, don't try and make sense of state regulations.
Yeah, exactly.
We are at the bottom of the hour. Fred, if you want to call back in, hopefully so. Why don't you do it on my cell phone so Bill can call in on the one line, and we have Dr. Doyle as our 7:30 guest this morning, who will be calling in, and I'm sure he's got a lot to talk about.
I won't call in 7:30. I'll call back in at 8, so Fred can call in and
okay.
Then we'll catch up at 8.
Yeah, Fred, you can just you can stay on your line until the break is over if you like.
But Bill, if you wanted,
I'll just turn you down.
But Bill, if you wanted to stay on, you're more than welcome to.
I have something I can do for half an hour. I got to get something out, so 8 o'clock is perfect.
We've done the cell phone laying on the microphone table.
Yeah,
before. We'll be back in a few, listeners.
That'll be good because we'll pass the baton at 8 o'clock. I'll leave it to Bill.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Okay.
This is going to work out.
Thank you, Bill.
We'll be back in a few, listeners.
Thank you, Bill McKenna, and thank you, Greg Chorvas and also Fred Costello, our co-hosts for Super Wednesday. And you're listening to KCR, Kingston Community Radio, on AM 920 and 92.5 FM, and streaming online at mykcr.org. Wednesday, December 16th, 18 degrees here in uptown Kingston. Cloudy skies with for this afternoon with snow showers coming in. A 50% chance of some snow showers coming in this afternoon. A high of 28. Tonight, that's when the action is. 100% chance of snow. Low of 21. And, a lot of that white stuff. About a foot or more accumulation expected. Thursday, 90% chance of more snow during the morning, another 1 to 3 inches, and then giving way to partly cloudy conditions in the afternoon, with a high of 27 for tomorrow. And tomorrow night, a few passing clouds, but mostly clear, and a low of 14 degrees. Friday, a few morning clouds, but mostly sunny, up to about 30 degrees on Friday, and Friday night a little cloudy, a low of 9 degrees. 9 degrees. Yep.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
The Home Energy Assistance Program can help make winter a little warmer this season, with financial grants to eligible households to help pay heating or utility bills. Are you in need of assistance or know someone who is? Find out more about the benefits and eligibility requirements of the HEAP program by contacting your County Department of Social Services or by visiting the Assistance Programs section of Central Hudson's website, centralhudson.com. Do you love the festive decorations and colorful lights of the holiday season? Visit Central Hudson's Instagram page, central_Hudson, to vote for your favorite photo capturing the best decorated home in the Hudson Valley. Be sure to follow our Instagram page so that you may choose your favorite photo. Hurry, voting ends at noon on Wednesday, December 30th.
This is Tony Marmo. Many families in our area will not have a happy holiday, and the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund will help them. We are asking for your contribution to purchase children's clothes, toys, and food for seniors. You can drop off your contribution at the Boyce Brothers Dairy Milk House on O'Neill Street in Kingston. Thank you so much.
And thank you again, Tony, for hosting the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund, which was a historic success this year. And thank you, listeners, for chiming in and contributing to the Happy Christmas Fund. You're with us here at KCR right now at AM 920 and 92.5 FM. 7:34 a.m., 18 degrees on this Wednesday, December 16th. And our call-in number is 331-9255. Now let's get back to the on-air studio with Greg Chorvas, Fred Costello, and, of course, our new guest.
Yes, and I made a little boo-boo. I believe I mentioned that Dr. Doyle was calling in at 7:30. He's not. He's calling in at 8:30 because in the studio here with me this morning is Chief Tinti.
Good morning.
Kingston City Police Chief. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very good. Good morning.
And as Dan mentioned, 331-9255. We'd love to hear from you. If you got any questions for the chief, anything in general, give us a call. And I believe we have Supervisor Costello on with us virtually.
We do. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
How are you all doing?
Good. How you feeling?
I feel great. I'm pretty much through it. I had a curveball during my recovery. I ended up with pneumonia.
Ooh.
And that set me back.
Yeah.
But I'm this thing is a dangerous and crazy disease that hits everyone differently.
Right.
And I count myself to be lucky for the experience I had, even though it beat me up for a couple days here.
Yeah.
But it's everything they say it can be. And I know you had some experience with it within your department, but it takes a lot out of you, and it's amazing how everybody gets impacted a little bit differently.
Right.
And every experience is a little bit unique, and the medical community is well aware of that, and they kind of cater the treatment to focus on how individuals are being impacted by their symptoms. And we're lucky to have that resource that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned about it taking a toll, mentally. For us, you as supervisor, you in an administrative role, myself in an administrative role, when it hits within your department, that there in itself can be met. It can wear on you more than a lot of other items, certainly.
There's a cultural impact, Greg, and you're right on with that. When you it's different to see it in the news than it is to see it with a coworker, or loved one, or a neighbor. It's just that much closer to home, and depending on the severity of the case, the person suffering, it makes you mindful of where we are, and we are not through this yet. There's so much good news with the vaccine finally being deployed, but we're not quite there yet. In the next few months, we all have to kind of double down on our efforts to make sure we don't get folks that may not have a fortunate outcome exposed.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and we've talked about this, and we can talk it to death. Obviously, this surge that we're currently seeing is a result of the Thanksgiving travel. Just 4 million people. I thought it was 1.8, and Kevin Cahill corrected me last week. There's extenuating circumstances. There's emergency situations where one has to travel. But, the last thing in the world I would do right now is get on a plane or travel out of New York State, unless there was that extenuating circumstance or emergency situation. And then I'd really have to think about it, because for those that just don't see this as being so critical, where you see these large gatherings, the wedding that they broke up down on Long Island a couple of weeks ago, 350 people, the Notre Dame game, after the Notre Dame game on national TV, they were shoulder to shoulder, face to face, screaming, cheering. No face masks, no nothing. And you know, the other thing is when you have a suspected case, and unfortunately, I had several individuals, several staff that had come in contact with an individual that had tested positive or had come in contact with a person who had come in contact with a person that had tested positive. And fortunately, none of them tested positive. Everyone was negative. But you have that time period, 3 days, 5 days, in some cases it was 7 or 8 days, where you're waiting for the results. And going through your mind is these scenarios, well, you know, what if such and such, you know, happened to come in and was in contact with that person? So it does wear on you. And this is what just blows my mind, where you see these incidents, these occurrences with these large gatherings, these defiant restaurant owners, you know, that are not adhering to these regulations and restrictions. And personally, myself, I think some of these more higher level, more severe violations, 350 people in a wedding, the penalties should be much more severe. I mean, my God. And then what about the 350 people? Where were their brains in attending a large gathering like that? You know, and I feel sorry for the restaurant owners, the bar owners, but you know, there was something that really struck me last week, late last week, or it might have been over the weekend. The percentage of positive cases that have come out of, this is just strictly New York City, not New York State. The percentage of positive cases that had come from restaurant settings was 1.2%. So one of the restaurant owners of a large restaurant, he was on visibly upset, stating that the highest percentage is with gatherings and indoor settings. He said, well, now these people that are coming to my restaurant, I'm abiding by the 25%. We're social distancing. He had plexiglass up, the whole 9 yards. He said, where are those people going to do now? They're going to go indoors. They're going to gather. They may gather with others, not within their families. So that was quite, I was quite surprised to hear just 1.2% out of a restaurant setting.
Unbelievable.
I am too, but most of the folks that are operating restaurants have set up protocols that try to make sure that their customers and their employees are safe, and that's pretty much across the board. I could confidently say that in Sororities that all the operators have taken all the recommended precautions and instituted cleaning policies so that their customers feel confident enough to try to persuade them to come out. And obviously you don't want your staff to get sick. And it's a big challenge, though. I think right now the news is so discouraging that to motivate people to come out and eat and congregate at all is almost impossible.
Well, you know, that was the same case with Jen and I the last two Saturdays, and we were thinking about it this past Saturday, but instead we got to-go dinners from your place, Sue's, and but you're right, because it's on the back of your mind, because right now the news has gotten scary again. There's talk several parts of the state where positivity rates are up 7-8%. Of complete shutdowns. There's talk about that in the city. So people just have to be smart, and hopefully we do not see a repeat of the millions that traveled over Thanksgiving come Christmas. Unfortunately, I'm not too optimistic.
And neither am I. It's going to happen, absolutely. Some people just don't get it. They don't.
We never learn from our mistakes, right?
No. You know, it's like everything else. I'll relate it to law enforcement, right? And the majority of people stop at the stop signs. The majority of people adhere to the speed limits. The majority of people abide by the laws set within our moral standards, right, or social standards. And then there's those that don't, right?
Yeah.
They don't. They go in, they shoplift, they go past. They don't care. They don't care about anything except themselves. And anyway, that's.
I have gotten to the point where I haven't been in a supermarket now, I think, in 3 weeks. And the last time I went in the Price Chopper, the store was packed. It was packed. So now, Price Chopper doesn't offer it. Why, I don't know. But both Hannaford and Walmart, you do it online, you get a text message. You know, not last Sunday, the Sunday before, I had put an order in that Saturday, and it was practically seamless. Pick up between 1 and 2, and I got a text message. Actually, I was in Fred's automatic car washer, and headed down there. And within minutes, you come out, and you pop the hatch, they load it, and it's just and the young gentleman that came out, the teenager that came out that was working, he said it was the most people he had seen in the store in a while. And I know the parking lot was jammed, but they have the dedicated spots for the pickup. But it is scary, and so many people that are close to me, friends. Fred is a good example, that have contracted this. It gets to be scary. And, you start to wonder in your mind, when's it my turn? Right. And as you see this morning here, and for those that are streaming, in the corner, more than 6 feet away. And I got stuck in the corner. I was naughty and hadn't been nice.
At least you're not turned toward the wall.
Yeah.
So what else is going on in the world of policing in Kingston?
Well, I got a couple of things, a few shout outs, I guess that you call them. So one, Roger Boughton, who has been a KPD officer, seems like forever, in the 80s. And so Roger recently retired this year, early of 2020. And I promised him that I would give a shout out to the listeners and the viewers. He does an absolutely amazing Christmas light display at his house on 9W near Tivas Ambulance Corps. And when I tell you it is commercial quality, it is unbelievable. I can't even imagine what he invests in the hours, no less than money. It is phenomenal. It's some draw. It really is. It's amazing. He does some show, and he loves it. He does it for the community. This guy is out there, and I had the privilege of seeing it as he was putting it all together. And it stays up most of the year and not lit, but then he adds the finishing touches to it every year. And the amount of time, the dedication he puts into, I got to tell you, it's unbelievable. My wife decorates the tree. She puts a couple things around the windows, but I don't know how he does it. I don't know.
So this is right on the 9W?
9W, right next to, I don't know the exact street. It's on 9W near the Town of Esopus ambulance building, and it's right there. You can't miss it. If you're driving on 9W, you'll see it. There'll be a glow coming from his house. But he does a fantastic job, and he's told me the stories where the kids will pass by and tell the parents, you got to stop, and there's animation involved and the light show that's going on. And absolutely amazing. He really deserves a big thanks for that. He does help the community that way, as he has as a police officer. Roger's always been done.
Every year, Jen and I will take either one evening or 2 evenings, and we'll take a tour around. And of course, Bishopsgate with Jimmy Bruno. Although it looks like this year Jimmy didn't do the trees on his driveway in.
I think he's having issues with the electrical supply.
Oh, okay.
I know he's working on it. I saw him out there yesterday or the day before working. So I know his intentions are to have the display up and running. I'm sure.
Now, as you go further in,
he's doing that he'll figure it out.
As you go further in, there's decorations. I had to actually go over there for something else, and I did not drive in there over to someone else's house. And that's how I had spotted it. But we're going to have to take that. I'm going to have to We'll have to take a ride over there and see
you
that.
can't. It's amazing. He, like I said, the hours. Really, I just can't imagine how much time he's put into it. Roger's always been great with his attention to detail and how he serves the community. He was an asset to Kingston.
Another one, because they've really been promoting it this year, and I guess they expanded onto it. It's out to like 1.5 miles or more. Is in Bethel Woods, Peace, Love, and Lights.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we may take that.
That takes a lot. So that's the first shout out I'd like to make. The second one
before
is,
you do the second
Okay.
one, we have got a caller. Good morning,
fine.
caller.
All right.
You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Hey guys, listen. Good landmark for finding that Sopus is just past Iron Mountain on the right.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, thank you for
Yeah,
that, sir.
you see it from the road. Looks pretty good. Hey, that's just part 2 of the Boughton thing. I don't know if they're still doing it over on Gate Street, but they usually put up a good light setup up there too.
Yep, you can see the glow from the top of the hill there. Amazing.
Now, it seems to me more people this year than ever decorated, and a lot of people decorated early. Just like right after Halloween, some of them started popping up. But at least in Sorgeties, and Fred, you can chime in, it seems more and more people have decorated this year more than ever. And I don't know, with our caller.
I got to tell you something. You're right, because I pulled out all my lights, which I've had for Time Memorial, and a couple strands weren't working. I went to Walmart, I went to Target, Lowe's, and everything. They're just about out of everything. People are buying. They've been for days. People are buying. People are stuck more at home, so I guess that's a good barometer for cheering yourself up, putting up some beautiful lights.
Sure, absolutely.
Very nice.
Yeah, Greg, both those observations are right on. The lights came out sooner than they normally would, and there are more extravagant displays than normal. And I think that's just a way for people to find a way to feel good. We're all somewhat tethered to our homes anyway, so we might as well make the most of it.
I think Jimmy just didn't want to drag out his bucket truck. Sorry.
It's good. We're talking about extraordinary displays. The Sussman family out in High Woods and Sorgeties, they do an annual display that's very impressive as well. And this year they dedicated part of it to celebrate Ian Flanagan being on The Voice, and that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, that's a really nice setup they got there. Unfortunately, right around Christmas time, it gets really cold over there.
Yes, it does.
We stepped out of the car because you have the walkthrough where you have the drive by. We were going to do the walkthrough. I stepped out of the car, said, "Not these toes." Got back in the car.
Yeah. This year they're not doing the walkthrough. They were a victim of their own success. So many people were motivated to go there, and with the walkthrough, it started to create some dangerous traffic situations. So they opted not to do a walkthrough this year. But the light display as a drive-by is just as good as it's been in the years past.
Yeah, and Fred, glad to hear you're feeling better.
Thank you. I'm glad I am feeling better.
We're all got to go out there and do our thing. Keep the mask on. Keep some Purell on hand.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I carry a bottle in my pocket when I go into public places because I'll tell you why. You got to go into the bathroom, and if you use a restroom, everything's got those air blowers now, not paper towels. Because how do you know the person who walked out ahead of you even bothered to wash their hands before they grabbed the same doorknob or pull that you got to grab?
Yeah, very good point. You just just don't
know.
know.
That's
why
particularly a dangerous place because the opportunity for the virus to become airborne is very high. As we flush the toilet, that turbulence between the air and the water actually creates the opportunity for the virus to become airborne. So that setting is particularly dangerous, and extra caution there is certainly worth our effort.
You betcha, because you still got to get out of that bathroom even if you wash your hands. I don't meet too many bathrooms where you can push the door open. You got to pull it open.
Yeah, true. A couple places I've been to had on the bottom of the door a spot for your foot, kind of a hook that allows you to open the door with your foot. I thought that was pretty neat, and it was easy to use. I thought that was a pretty crafty way. That way you never even had to use your hand. You just use your shoe. We're able to grasp onto the bottom of the door, open it freely, swing it past you, and exit without ever touching the handle. I thought that was pretty neat.
You were at Lowe's, and I hope that they sell that. It's an actual product. I noticed the brand name on it down there. It's kind of like a toe pull or something. There's a name for it. I think
cool, isn't it?
Yes, it's really incredible, and they might be for sale. I'm not exactly sure, but they sure could be more prevalent than they are. They're a really, really good answer to opening doors.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, or at least put a Purell dispenser outside the bathroom door. That when you exit the bathroom, you can sanitize your hands again.
Yeah, that's a simple solution too. It's a simple solution too. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your call this morning. Thank you very much.
And you guys all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and happy, Merry everything. That covers all that.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
You guys be well.
You stay safe. Be well.
Yep. You got it. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have an awesome day. So item number 2, shout out.
All right, another shout out. This has to go out to the Facebook group put together by Val Dwyer. There's a couple of other people involved in it. I apologize for not coming up with their names, but Val Dwyer put together a Facebook group in Kingston called Concerned Citizens, and it's 3,000 plus strong right now. She put together this group in response to the levels of violence that Kingston went through at the beginning of the year and the law enforcement response and kind of just a group that supports what law enforcement has been trying to do throughout the beginning of this year, better part of this year. And more recently, her group has organized this 12 Days of Christmas where they're bringing in, when I say a tremendous amount of food to our headquarters, all different times, different shifts, different types of food. There's breakfast, there's dinner, there's lunch, there's fruit, you name it, it's coming there. And so at this point, I have, when I go down, I see some officers there. I'm like, well, you're not supposed to be working today. And they're like, oh, no, but we're here to deliver pizzas.
So for 12 days, they're bringing in a variety of food.
Yep. She put this together, and again, I apologize for not mentioning other people on here. Val's been my contact throughout this, and she got, when we initially met in my office for close to about a 2.5 hour meeting over some concerns, right? Obviously, city resident, business owner. She said there's a group out there that's concerned about the violence and the safety and security as a community. So we talked about those things. And then she had essentially a support drive out there put together, where she had certain locations set up at certain times, certain days, and got signatures, and then presented these reams of signatures. She dropped off a copy to my office as well, to most of the elected officials in the city, the mayor, myself, to show that there are residents here that support what law enforcement is doing. And that really is the main theme. I mean, certainly the umbrella is about the safety and security of Kingston, but underlying that is one of the basic premises is support for law enforcement and what we do, not just KPD, but state police, the sheriff's office, and so on. So there's been good dialogue, and as an extension of that show of support, she contacted me and said, hey, just so you know, we're doing this 12 days of Christmas, 12 days out, and sure enough, on that day, food delivery started coming in, and you can't go down to our break room without seeing wall-to-wall food, and our supervisors have been pretty good. They're trying to post the pictures online on Facebook just to try to make sure that we fully recognize the support of the community. And the food has been unbelievable. It really has. It's everything from baked goods to home-cooked meals. It's amazing. And I got to tell you, the officers really, really appreciate that.
I was just going to say, that has to be very, very uplifting for the officers. Even though we don't experience locally here to the level in your larger cities, the disliking of police, it still has to, some of it does exist to a much smaller percentage, but it also has to be on the back of the minds of local police officers, seeing the crap on the national news, everything that's going on. So it's got to be uplifting. I got to ask, are you doing a lottery amongst your 70-some officers to see who gets the 2 French hens?
I I think they've already got all that worked out down there. They're pretty well organized. But no, it's been great. I really, again, a big shout out to Val. She does an amazing job with it. Well organized, very motivated, highly energetic. Now she put this thing
Obviously.
together. So, oh yeah, no, that's great. So, and lastly. I could go on, but lastly, they had a kind of a makeshift police academy graduation yesterday. It was a day before it was supposed to really happen. Today was supposed to be the graduation, but obviously because of COVID, they had to reset everything. So we just, the local police academy, Kingston Police and SUNY Ulster kind of sharing the responsibility. We have a partnership on putting this together with instructors from every agency, the Sheriff's Office, Saugerties, Olive. They all contribute as far as instructors go to this program. And the directors, Lieutenant Mike Bonson, retired Lieutenant Alan Rao, do a great job. And just a big shout out. I know that, I know firsthand how much work the academy is. And I haven't been involved in it since I became chief, but those two are just amazing gentlemen that really put their heart and souls into it. And the product that's produced speaks for itself. I mean, you got, I believe the count is 23 recruits that graduated yesterday, and they did just an awesome job. And again, right, it's not the fanfare that we normally have. Usually we end up going to the chateau, and there's, lunch and dinner with families and, awards banquets and, just the ceremony of the usually the local chiefs will get up and present the certificates of achievement and completion, and just none of that, right? And I know that somewhat there's disheartening to some of the recruits that want that, right? They want the appreciation to show they did a good job, but I just figured that the best I can do for them right now, because I wasn't involved in it like I normally am every year. They had to keep it as a closed in-house ceremony. But they did it all through COVID, and that's something to be spoken for. I know they're scheduled to start again under very strict guidelines, and again they've had to accommodate where other educational institutions have shut down. They have outlined through the state with approval from SUNY. Here's what we're doing, and full deep cleans in between classes, social distancing, masks, and the state was great. DCJS, Division of Criminal Justice Services, was great in putting out the guidelines for when we get to the hands-on portion, and when there's defensive tactics or interpersonal communication skills, there has to be physical contact at some point. But I know that Mike and Alan have done a great job making sure everyone gets tested, that their follow-up on that, and there's, they've been very lucky. They haven't had any issues, and I think it speaks volumes to what they do as far as their professionalism.
We can pick up on the conversation. We're over the limit here. We need to take a break in fairness to our sponsors.
Yep.
We'll be back in a few.
Okay, thank you, Greg Chorvas. Egidio Tinti, thank you for being our guest this hour. And thank you, Fred Costello, for being with us. And KCR is Kingston Community Radio, WGHQ, AM 920 and 92.5 FM. The time is now 8:02 a.m., Wednesday, December 16th. This last portion of Kingston Community Radio was brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Many locations throughout the Mid-Hudson Valley, a location near you. Today, cloudy skies with afternoon snow showers. 50% chance of snow as we round the bend today in the afternoon. A high of 28. Tonight, and that's when the action is, 100% chance of snow, low 21. And definitely we're going to get some of that white stuff, a foot or more accumulation expected. And Thursday continues with a 90% chance of snow during the morning, giving way to partly cloudy conditions in the afternoon. A high of 27 and a possible 1 to 3 additional inches of snow Thursday morning. Thursday night, a few passing clouds, low of 14 degrees. Friday, a few morning clouds, but mostly sunny and up to 30 degrees. Friday night, partly cloudy, but a low down to 9 degrees. And that's Friday night. And we'll be right back.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
The Home Energy Assistance Program can help make winter a little warmer this season, with financial grants to eligible households to help pay heating or utility bills. Are you in need of assistance or know someone who is? Find out more about the benefits and eligibility requirements of the HEAP program by contacting your County Department of Social Services or by visiting the Assistance Programs section of Central Hudson's website, centralhudson.com. Do you love the festive decorations and colorful lights of the holiday season? Visit Central Hudson's Instagram page, central_Hudson, to vote for your favorite photo capturing the best decorated home in the Hudson Valley. Be sure to follow our Instagram page so that you may choose your favorite photo. Hurry, voting ends at noon on Wednesday, December 30th.
This is Tony Marmo. Many families in our area will not have a happy holiday, and the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund will help them. We are asking for your contribution to purchase children's clothes, toys, and food for seniors. You can drop off your contribution at the Boyce Brothers Dairy Milk House on O'Neill Street in Kingston. Thank you so much.
You're listening to WGHQ, AM 920 and 92.5 FM, the home of Kingston Community Radio. And this last portion of Kingston Community Radio was brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. And this upcoming portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Central Hudson. And let's get back to the on-air studio this Wednesday, December 16th, with 18 degrees here right now in uptown Kingston. Let's get back to the on-air studio with Greg Chorvas and Egidio Tinti. Welcome back.
Thank you, Dan Gatis, and welcome back, listeners who have been with us, and those just joining us. Welcome. 331-9255 is our call-in number. And as Dan mentioned, Chief Tinti, Kingston City Police Chief, is in the studio, and I'm not sure if it's either going to be Supervisor Fred Costello or Supervisor Bill McKenna that will be joining us virtually. But before we do that, it's time for birthdays.
My turn?
Your
All
turn.
right. This is a big happy birthday to Craig Craw from your friends and family, Mom and Dad, Cheryl and Tom, Joel, Megan, Seth, and Philip. Happy birthday.
Wow, whole gang there. Wishing
Tomorrow the 17th.
Oh, that's right. Today's the 16th.
Isn't it? I think it's, yeah. Well, happy birthday tomorrow, Craig.
Anyway, the winner of this is what we got in the Wednesday folder. Today's winner of the famous cow pie on National Chocolate Covered Anything Day.
Nice.
Is Craig Craw. That cow has a different ring every single week.
He's learning opera.
So, Craig Craw,
trying.
congratulations. Happy birthday. When you get the opportunity, get down to Boyce Dairy Milk House, 62 O'Neill Street, right here in Kingston, New York. I should know that number by heart. It just came a blank there. And pick up your famous cow pie, which is courtesy of Boyce Dairy Milk House and Kingston Community Radio. And listeners, please continue to send in birthdays. We only had one today. Always nice to have some competition. Anniversaries also very easy to do. You can email to kcr921@gmail.com. You can postal mail to KCR, Kingston Community Radio, P.O. Box 4364, Kingston, New York, 12402. And we have a caller.
It's
Good morning,
Chief
caller. You're on the
Greg.
air.
Sorry, Bill McKenna.
Hey, good morning, Bill.
Good morning. How are you, Chief?
Very good, Bill. How you been?
I'm grand, thank you.
Uh-oh. Silence. Can't have silence on the
I
radio.
can fill silence. You know me. There doesn't have to be any silence.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
We can hear you now.
Okay. So what are you up to? Getting ready for Christmas?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, we're getting ready for the storm first, but more than that, it's all been good. We've been very lucky. The PD-wise, we've been very lucky. We have there's a police commission meeting tonight. We have a few vacancies to fill coming up in January and February. It looks at this point to be 6 vacancies. We have 3 as of the first week of January that need to be filled, and then an additional 3 in February. So we're looking at 6 police officer positions in 2 months.
Wow.
So, yeah. So as you know, the application, with us, we're full-time civil service only. So we have to do the backgrounds based on the civil service rankings that they come in. For the listeners, they take a written exam. That is for us, it's a little different in Kingston. We've opted to go with the physical fitness portion first. We found in the past that when we give the written exam and then the physical fitness, we lose about half of the people, and that's about the number, about half, 50% fail the PT. So what we do now is we hold a PT test first, and that cuts down the number of people actually taking the written exam. So there's pros and cons to both ways to do it, but for us, we opted to take the physical fitness portion first. Of the 150 people that showed up for the PT, this is almost 2 years ago, there was about 80 that passed, and now we're down to about 50 that are being considered. And of the 50, there's only about 8 in the score group, the 90 group that we're looking at right now. So civil service kind of puts some limit to us, but we do backgrounds, and those candidates will be coming in tonight virtually to be interviewed by the police commission to fill those positions. So we're looking forward to it. We've been down a few spots here and there, which makes scheduling and administrative operations a little difficult.
Sure.
But
how did you come upon 6 openings? Just attrition, guys moving on?
Yeah, so
departments?
2 of them were actually once COVID hit and we didn't really know the financial impact, the mayor and the council decided to hold off on any hires. Understandably, obviously, right? We're just not sure what kind of budgetary changes we'll have to make. So we had 2. We had 1 officer leave and resign, and then 1 actually retire. So those 2 positions were left open.
Right.
Come January, they're back in the budget. It looks like the mayor and the council have approved it. I don't know where the budget stands on the mayor's part of it, but the budget was approved by the council. They made some minor changes, but not to the police budget. And then we have in January also, in addition to the 2, what we're calling pre-COVID spots, we have 1 for the retirement of Detective Fitzgerald. Aaron Fitzgerald it will be retiring January 7th. And I got to tell you, he will be missed. He was a huge asset to the department. SWAT team member, detective, narcotics. He did it all, and Fitzy was a great officer. He's moving on to bigger, better things. He's still going to be in law enforcement, but in a different capacity. But he is retiring. Former Marine Corps. The guy was he bled blue, and that's nice to see today. It really is. He should be proud. His son followed in his footsteps. He's a police officer in the town of Ulster, and again, former Marine, just great family people. So, and then in addition, in February we have 3 spots coming up. We have Detective Tim Bowers, who again served the city for many, many years. Hard-working, great interviewer. Detective Tierney, he'll be retiring as well. And Rick and I, we rode in the car together for years until Rick got promoted. And then finally, sometime in February, March timeframe, he's working it out now, the retirement of Mike Ryan, who Mike and I went to Onteora together. An absolute fantastic tactician, team leader, SWAT team, you name it, Mike did it, instructor. Just, when you talk about retirements, people say, wow, that's great, 32 years on or 25 years on, whatever the time frame is. But from the police department side, you lose the experience and the knowledge that people just take for granted when they get a cop on the call now. Somebody like, Rick Tierney or Tim Bowers or Fitzgerald, when it comes to investigations, they've managed to get this experience of knowing who, the people are, how to talk to someone, right? And when you look at somebody like Mike Ryan, who, both that had really, I think it's an honor to teach, but the honor and privilege to teach new recruits and other officers, firearms, defensive tactics, tactical response. I like to believe they don't make them like him anymore. That's the thing. And his replacement, we hope will follow in his footsteps to some degree. Someone that is as energetic, as devoted to the community in Kingston as Mike and Tim and Rick and Fitzy were. And I think that's something to look for today. That's always a quality that we try. It's not when you hire, and I know you know this, when you look to interview people, you're looking for someone who's community-based. You know, someone that has either an investment in the community or wants to make a really deep investment in the community. You know, unlike other agencies where they, I guess some people look at it as an advantage, but you know, where you can transfer to a different location either within the county or the state or you know, move around. That's not the case in Kingston, you know, and in Woodstock and Saugerties, you know, and you move up in rank, but you don't move out, right? And that's the difference. And with us, it is a unique challenge sometimes, but it also has its benefits. You know, when you come on and you're dealing with an individual, maybe 16, 18 years old on the street, and then, you know, as you progress through your career and they progress through life, you know, there's opportunities at every turn really to kind of change that. So that is important. I think that's the biggest thing. And I know that's a challenge for the commission. The command staff, when we interview these candidates, we look really more for operational questions. You know, how are they going to conduct themselves on the street? You know, are they a strong personality to make things right when they get to a call? But on the commission side, I think their concern, and rightly so, is more directed towards how is that person going to represent Kingston Police to the community when they get to a call? You know, or do they share in the same belief system? You know, are they aware of some racial tensions that may be out there, right? That's one of the things in the forefront right now, you know, and that really is the big push. And when you're interviewing candidates, you have to cover the gamut. You have to know that they're physically capable, mentally capable, emotionally capable. The ones that have gone through the police academy have proven themselves already to some degree because of the environment that they've been trained in. But the ones coming on, you know, and do people that are coming from outside jurisdictions, whether it be Poughkeepsie or Dutchess County or Orange County or Greene County, for an interview, do they share in the same community-based understanding that those are that may have gone to Kingston High School or Saugerties High School or, you know, that shop in Kingston. So it is a challenge today. Civil service limits us to some degree. And like I said, I know all agencies experience this. They're looking for the best candidate within that list. And I think that we have a very good group. 8 will be coming in today, again, virtually for interviews. And I think that all of them, as they were interviewed yesterday by command staff, actually show very great traits. And I think that, for lack of a better term, there's really no bad decisions tonight. I think that, you know, in addition, this is just the first step, right? They're offered conditional employment, but then the rest of it, they have to go through a medical screening, they have to go through a polygraph exam, they have to go through a psychological exam. Those 3 things also have to occur before they're actually pinned the badge on. So that's important to keep in mind as well. So just because they've made it through the interview process and the background investigation doesn't mean there's other things.
Isn't the full guarantee.
Right. Yeah, we've, you know, to be honest with you, we've been disappointed in the past where we've offered an individual, hey, listen, we think you'd make a great fit, and then they weren't so truthful on the polygraph, or the psychiatrist says, well, there's an issue here, you know, and you certainly, you know, these are the things you can catch now, right? And we've talked about this on the show before. What happens when a police officer comes on and he's young, you know, she's still living at home with her parents, you know, she's going to college, but now you introduce family, marriage, divorce, family loss, financial difficulties. How do those affect a police officer throughout their career as well, right? So you got to have a good foundation, and that's what we're looking for when we do these interviews, is a good foundation. You know, it's not fair to individuals that may have had parents that didn't abide by the law, right? We have them sometimes in backgrounds, but the individual has managed to stay on this side of correct. So we keep that in mind as well. And a lot of times, you know, it's, you know, we did face-to-face interviews yesterday on the command staff level, and I say we. I really wasn't part of it. You know, for full disclosure, my son is on that list, so he came in. He's on the civil service list.
Full disclosure.
So full disclosure, yeah. So I removed myself from the process, as I will today. But he is one of the 23 academy recruits that graduated yesterday, and very proud of him. I know that for me, about half of my career was invested in academy training, and to see him go through the same academy that, one, I went through, and two, that I was part of is very satisfying. I give every recruit. I told him, and I told many of them, it's no easy task. It's no easy task. There is a regimentation and attention to detail. You are tested, and everything. The only thing they give you on day one, is the opportunity to succeed. Nothing is given to you. Nothing's handed to you. No one's telling you what to do. They ask you to comply, and it's up to you to do so. So big shout out to them as well. But yeah, so today there's 8 of them coming in, and we'll see. In my son's case, I've never encouraged him to be a cop. That's nothing that I've turned to. I know there's fathers and mothers out there who are cops and have said, I think it's a good thing for my kid, and I've never done that. I just want my kid, both my son, my daughter, my stepkids, to be happy in life. That's really all that matters. Honest living and be happy. And it doesn't matter whether you're banging nails on a roof, whether you're mixing something in a lab. It doesn't matter. Honestly, if you're sweeping floors or cleaning up, I've done it all. I've installed septic systems. As long as you're happy, right? At the end of the day, you just got, and because what's the old saying, right? If you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life, right? So
exactly. And, that's a very, very good point, because, there are parents that, maybe an individual did not want to go to college, but the parents basically forced the individual to go to college. And of course, now with what we're seeing in the trades industry, anybody that goes and takes anything related to the trades as far as their education, they're going to go into a fairly well-paying job, almost a guarantee.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. As opposed to going for, say, a teacher's position, which is now oversaturated, that field there. And, I just can't imagine, and I still know 1 or 2 people that dread Sunday afternoons because they know the next thing is Monday morning, because they hate their jobs. And then they're wishing that on Monday morning they can't wait till Friday afternoon. Well, we just talked about off the air time, and it's scary the way time goes by. Why? Just wishing your life away. It goes way too quick. Now, granted, unfortunately, there are people that maybe because of no choice of their own, have positions, have jobs, which they don't like or they hate. But why not take that initiative? And I think that's where it lies, the initiative to improve yourself, improve your education if need be, to get into an industry that you're going to like.
Yes.
And you put it very, very well. If you go to work every day loving your job, it's not a job.
No. You'll never work a day in your life. It's
never
true.
Work a day in your life.
Now, let me tell you, it's like most. I spent quite a bit of time making widgets. That's before I became a cop and I did construction. I would work at night in a machine shop, and you'd pull the lever, put the piece, pull the lever, put the piece, put the lever, and that's what you did, and that's all it was. It was just routine work, and it paid the bills, right? And it was by piece. It was piecework. So if you made 1,000 pieces that night, you got paid for 1,000. If you made 900, you got paid for 900. And with law enforcement, it's a little different. You are expected to have your own problem solved, because you can't get to a call and solve other people's problems. That's what we get called for. We get called to solve people's problems. Neighbor disputes. Years ago, you used to go over to your neighbor and say, hey, listen, I know you're having a good time. Could you turn the music down? Or could you keep your car on your lawn and not mine? Those kind of things. That doesn't exist today. I am still amazed at the number of neighbor complaints we get. You got to go over and tell my neighbor to turn it down. Well, just go knock on the door, right? But that's not the accepted norm anymore. So and
I think this pandemic has made it even worse.
Is that right?
I think people are just on edge and can't tolerate their neighbors in some cases.
You almost took the words out of my mouth, Bill.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I've seen the same thing.
Unbelievable.
And it's unfortunate to tie police officers up with that. We'll get back to that in a minute, but we got a caller right now. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Good morning to all.
Morning.
One thing I would like to talk about, when you were bringing up about, parents sometimes telling the children, like they would like to either become a doctor or go to college, and I know they have the best interest at heart, but still, I think they do a lot of damage by doing that. And I feel like a lot of times a person goes into a job that they really dislike, they're not going to do it to the best of their ability. And I know myself, too, growing up. I didn't have a choice of where I was going to work. I was told by my parents where I was going to work. And I know the same thing happened with my older sister, too. And I think, you know, it really hurt because I wanted to go into nursing, and I was not allowed to.
Right.
And like I said, it really hurts the person, and they don't do as well with it if it was something that they really like to do. And if you dread going in on Monday morning and look forward to Friday afternoon.
Yeah, no, the saying in my household with my kids, my family is do something. Just do something. Just keep moving, right? The Nike ad, right? Just do it. I kind of modified that. Just do something. What are you doing? That was always the question. Oh, what are you guys doing today? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Just keep doing something. It was just the way I was raised, but I really encourage. I'm not artistic. I don't believe I'm artistic and autistic. And my daughter is very artistic, and she decided she got a scholarship to Marist, and she did well. And I kind of shook my head sometimes, and I'd make fun of her. Like I said, "Are you sure you're not hanging that painting upside down? That looks upside down to me, right?" I just couldn't understand it, and now she's moved on to web design. And loves her job. She works in Dutchess County. She lives here in Ulster, and she loves her job. And she's just got this huge smile on her face when she talks about the work that she does. And I think that's really what we want for our kids, right? We want them to be enthusiastic about what they do. It's not just a place to go to make money. It's an investment. It's an investment, and it doesn't have to, your first job obviously doesn't have to be your last job, right? We move on. And like I said, the machine shop, I took a lot of stuff away from there. I learned how to use a lathe and a bend, and all these other tools that were on there, vertical grinders and horizontal grinders and mills. And that's great, screw machines and setup. And, I have a couple of those tools myself. I don't use them as much as I used to, but I think that's important. When you talk about the trades, I grew up in the trades. My father was a construction contractor, builder, and we did everything. We installed oil burners and put down well pumps and built houses and additions and decks and roofs and sheathing and kitchens and cabinetry. We did it all. I mean, it was.
Is there anything you haven't done?
No, well drilling. My father used to say, I can do everything. The Italian guy, he would say, I do everything. Everything you don't have to buy or go to nobody else. I do everything, not the well. I don't drill the well. But everything else we would do, the septic, everything. We had, when I tell you every tool imaginable now, he was a hard-working man. He loved his job, and I had the benefit of learning. Honestly, I did. And even now, I mean, we don't hire anybody to do any work. We're when we build stuff, and most of the listeners know we have a farm. My wife and I have a farm, and we do maple syrup. We have some sheep and chickens and a whole bunch of other stuff going on, but which is a lot of work for a person my age. But I have to tell you, it's we do it all ourselves, and everything from digging to I just got done putting an addition on the house, 1,100 10-inch blocks, 8-foot scaffold. We just put trusses on, and we do it all. I mean, I say ourselves, but family. That's what we do. We count on family, and we have the benefit of everybody doing that. It's, I would like to see my kids get more involved in that, so when my daughter calls and says, I don't know, Dad, my oil burner's not running, when I go over there, she's interested in seeing how to fix it, but she really, listen, I've been doing this since I was 12 years old before I became a cop, and I'm still fortunate to be able to do all that stuff. And I say that, it's a blessing. But when something breaks, they're always calling me, right? So
because you've done everything and you know how to repair everything.
Yeah. So I guess it is a blessing.
They're no dummies.
And it's important. If you'd see me on the weekends, I got my apron on, I'm up on the roof, I'm banging nails and doing all this stuff, welding. I just enjoy it. It really is my release for a lot of things. And I'm very proud of the career I chose. I like to believe that people have that people in Kingston are satisfied, happy with Kingston police and law enforcement agencies that serve Kingston. I'm proud that my son's going into it. Like any parent, I'm always concerned, right? This is a very challenging time out there for cops. And for him to kind of make that decision on his own, and I have to say, again, on his own, that is a really kind of to some degree, kind of a concerning thought for me. But, it just, you want your kids, right? As a parent, you want to know that they're taken care of, right? Because as our clock is ticking down, theirs is starting to ramp up. And sometimes I shake my head because I remember the words that my father would say to me, and he would say, you don't know. You think you know, but you don't know yet. Wait. Someday you're going to say the old man is right. Today you don't say it, but someday, and I have to look up sometimes, he's passed away 4 years ago, and I look, you know what, Pop, you were right.
So we are just about at it. We're out of time here, but it took 59 minutes. But you got to recite your father, which I just love. And for those that are streaming or not streaming, I should say, you should stream when Chief Tinti is on, because obviously your hand motions, your facial expressions, beside your voice,
PTSD is what it is.
The sincerity that you possess. Mrs. R, thank you for your call. You have yourself an awesome day. Stay safe. Be well. And Chief Tinti, you do likewise. I know you're probably going to have a long night and tomorrow with the snow and the snow emergency. I'm sure that's going to be declared. And hopefully this thing decides, well, I'm going to take a right-hand turn and go out to sea, and we don't get a lot of snow. But boy, it doesn't look too promising at this stage of the game. And listeners, we will be back in a few. Thank you very much, Chief.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Egidio Tinti. Thank you for the calls that came in today. And you are with us here at KCR, Kingston Community Radio, on AM 920, 92.5 FM, and streaming online at mykcr.org. It's Wednesday, December 16th, and 18 degrees right now here in Uptown Kingston. This last portion of Kingston Community Radio was brought to you by Central Hudson. Today, cloudy skies with afternoon snow showers possible, a high of 28, 50% chance of snow. And tonight, that's when the action is, 100% chance of snow, low 21 degrees, and about a foot or more accumulation is expected. And Thursday, 90% chance of snow continues during the morning and then giving way to partly cloudy conditions in the afternoon. An additional 1 to 3 inches on Thursday, a high of 27. And Thursday night, a few passing clouds, a low down to 14. And Friday, a few morning clouds also, but mostly sunny, up to 30 degrees on Friday. And Friday night, a little cloudy, but low down to 9 degrees. Okay, we'll be right back.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Do you love the festive decorations and colorful lights of the holiday season? Visit Central Hudson's Instagram page, Central_Hudson, to vote for your favorite photo capturing the best decorated home in the Hudson Valley. Be sure to follow our Instagram page so that you may choose your favorite photo. Hurry, voting ends at noon on Wednesday, December 30th. Don't. Just don't. If you see a low-hanging or downed wire, don't touch it. Don't move it. Don't go near it. Don't drive over it. It may be a power line carrying an electric current strong enough to kill. But here's what to do. Stay at least 30 feet away and call 911. Central Hudson will take care of the problem. If you come close to a wire, shuffle away with small steps and watch your step. Wires may be hidden in fallen tree limbs or near water. Your safety matters.
Hi, my name's Maggie. I'm from Copake, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
You're here with us for this last half hour of Super Wednesdays, Wednesday, December 16th, 18 degrees here in Uptown Kingston, and 920 on your AM dial, 92.5 FM, and streaming online at mykcr.org. And without further ado, let's get back to the on-air studio with Greg Chorvas. Welcome back.
Thank you, Dan Gatus. And for those that have been, those listeners that have been with us, welcome back. Those just joining us for the last half hour, welcome. 331-9255 is our call-in number. And do we have Supervisor McKenna with us, or is this Dr. Doyle?
It's Fred. Greg.
Oh, Fred. Fred. Okay. We're bouncing back and forth between the two supervisors. We are expecting Dr. Doyle to be calling in. And unless something came up, which in his capacity, you never, ever know.
You never know. Hopefully he calls in. I think our listeners will enjoy hearing about what's happening at the Westchester medical facilities here locally. They have a big capital project underway. Their COVID response. You can even shed some light on the capacity for the mental health. I know that's on many of our listeners' minds, and it's certainly on many of our law enforcement officials' minds. So hopefully we get the opportunity to chat with him. I think it'll be helpful to our listeners and to the broader community to hear what's going on.
Yes.
Chief Tinti's always colorful, isn't he, Greg?
Oh, wow. I love the way he recites his father and the way he gets going like nobody else.
Yeah, it's great. I can relate to that. I get yelled at once in a while too, and I'm fortunate to still have my dad. And he's right much more often than he used to be. I'll give him that. There's a wisdom about that.
He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
Yep. Yeah, he may be listening. He's definitely at work, but he may be listening too. So
he's at work?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's been there an hour already. That's his regular routine. After he has coffee with my mom, he goes and opens up the car wash and makes sure everything's running, and then he'll help Michelle in the barbershop for a couple hours every day.
He is amazing. He is amazing.
Goes and goes.
Well, you know something? I'm a very, very firm believer. You stay active. That's one of the primary ingredients when you stay active of remaining healthy and being able to do at his age what he does literally 7 days a week.
Yep, he doesn't stop. He just keeps on going. And I think what you're saying is right on. I think part of enjoying what you do and doing it and having that social interaction and keeping your body moving is a big component to having a healthy and long life. Folks that, for whatever reason, sometimes physically we just can't get moving anymore. But that compromises your ability to be mentally and physically healthy. And doing something you enjoy and having people you care about with you means, I think, a lot, as much as any medicine, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm watching the news, and this storm, we're not going to get lucky, it doesn't look like. It looks like we can expect up to a foot of snow.
Yes, it does look like that. And, again, you've heard me say storms out in the Atlantic can never be trusted. They have a mind of their own. And, boy, a good example, which had never happened before, was Sandy, moving up the coast and then got to northern Jersey and decided to make a left-hand turn, which, is uncharacteristics of weather systems and especially storms out into the Atlantic. Generally they'll either hug the coast headed north or slightly northwest, but primarily weather patterns are easterly and northeasterly. So that was a good example, and we all saw what happened there, how it devastated Lower Manhattan, Jersey, the coastline, and they're expecting high winds with this with this storm here.
This is it too. This was tracking as a traditional northeaster, though.
Yes.
It came out from the west, dipped down towards the Gulf, picked up some moisture, and now it's headed right up the coast.
Yeah, and, unfortunately, there's the largest pool of cold air so far this year that's coming south. So the ingredients are all there, unfortunately, but as cold as it's going to get over the next 2 to 3 days, especially at night, it's good to have some snow cover, just preventing frost from going down, into the ground. I would have preferred like 4 or 5 inches because that's more than enough of an insulation blanket. But obviously, I don't control the weather.
No, we just react to it.
When I looked this morning with the present track of one of the models, the European model, it had us at right around between 8 and 9 inches. But again,
wow.
Just a slight shift, 25 miles either way could result in more snow or less snow.
Well, less would be nice, right?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Very much be appreciated. But we've been pretty fortunate so far this year, and we are in mid-December. Actually, Christmas is 2 weeks from today, correct?
No, Christmas is on a Friday. Today's Wednesday, the last I looked.
Yep,
Okay.
yeah, Christmas is on Friday. 24th is, the Christmas Eve is Thursday.
10 days away.
Yep, that's true.
10 days.
10
Wow,
days.
that's even worse.
Oh, by the way, I recommend to everybody in honor of this nor'easter. I was looking at our drink book yesterday. There's a drink called a nor'easter. It's a good winter drink. 2 ounces of bourbon, ½ ounce of lime juice, ½ ounce of maple syrup, a little ginger beer. The nor'easter.
Wow.
What is it? Say that again?
Yeah, it's called a nor'easter. In honor of this upcoming couple days, hunker down. Have 2 ounces of bourbon, ½ ounce of lime juice, ½ ounce of maple syrup, and some ginger beer. A little splash of ginger beer, and you've got yourself.
That sounds very
You got
sweet.
yourself a nor'easter. Yeah, it would be a slightly sweet drink.
Yeah, very sweety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
That's not for me because I'm not sweet. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, just strain it into a rocks glass.
There you go.
Yo, man, you just want to sit by a fire and sip on that.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So now, is that going to go on to your drink menu?
It might.
It might, huh?
Yeah. It might go on to my personal drink menu, too.
Yeah, right.
I just never been a bourbon, whiskey, scotch, never.
Totally understood. Totally understood.
And, everybody that I've spoke to that are big scotch drinkers tell me you have to acquire taste. Well, I remember the first time I took a sip of scotch to try it. Let me tell you, there was no acquiring that taste.
You just weren't going to go there.
That was gross. Now, you talk about vodka, that's a little bit different.
Okay.
That I do have an acquired taste for.
There you go.
Scotches and bourbons and ryes are really fun, though. And the depth of flavors is pretty extraordinary.
Now, this is a good area to research that, too, huh, Freddie?
Yeah.
There's a lot of great distilleries around here that are doing it locally.
Yeah.
So I've learned. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And there's a lot of local places that have bourbon style whiskeys, which is pretty interesting. And the addition of corn mash kind of defines that, which is which is an interesting recipe as well. So I'm going to pause for 1 second, folks. But I'd be happy to continue that conversation. I think we're going to get Dr. Doyle. Hang tight.
Okay. We have a caller, I believe, possibly Dr. Doyle.
Hi, good morning. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm quite certain you're your days, your schedule are very, very jam-packed and very, very hectic. So we appreciate you taking time out of that busy, hectic schedule.
Oh, it's no problem. We are busy, but have a great team here, and they're really leading the way.
So for our benefit of our listeners, why don't you tell us the capacity you serve in, and when you mentioned the team that you have there, many of our listeners may not know.
Yeah, so thanks. I'm Michael Doyle. I'm a physician. I'm the Executive Director, Chief Medical Officer here at Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley. So I'm the guy in charge of, the Kingston Hospital, the Benedictine Hospital, which we call Broadway campus, Mary's Avenue campus, also responsible for our hospital up in Margaretville and the residential care center we have up in Margaretville, Mountainside Residential Care Center. And when I talk about our team, I'm talking about the healthcare heroes we have on the front line every day and have forever here in our community, but certainly more pointedly during the last 10 months during this COVID pandemic. Just a phenomenal team of nurses, physicians, aides, techs, respiratory therapists, housekeepers, all that. They're the ones really burning the midnight oil here, doing everything right to make sure we keep our community and our patients safe. It's a fantastic team. Yep.
So you have a number of interesting and relevant projects. Obviously, the COVID response by our area's medical infrastructure has been appreciated and, I would argue, successful. Grand Street's been one of the primary test sites for us residents, and that's been well managed and successful. And then you also have a big capital project happening at the Mary's Avenue campus, right?
That's correct. Yeah, so you're right. There's a lot going on here, and I want to assure the community that we are continuing to remain prepared, vigilant for COVID. We have an excellent surge plan should we need it. Thankfully, we haven't needed it, and we appreciate everyone in the community doing what they can to minimize demand for beds. I can supply them, but minimizing demand for our services by social distancing, wearing masks, doing hand hygiene, and we think that's great. And there are a number of other COVID-related topics I can go into, but direct to the construction project you're talking about. Yeah, we're in the midst of a healthcare transformation here in Kingston. It's been long awaited. When we're going to combine the campuses of the Mary's Avenue and the Broadway campus into one single healthcare facility, inpatient facility for our communities. And that's really the sustainable way for our future here, to be on one campus. And we're working with a construction grant from the state that we received to create a new building over on the Mary's Avenue campus, a 25,000 square foot emergency room, welcome center, a caregiver center there. On the second floor, we'll have a new ICU, new mother-baby unit. And that's going to connect and integrate right into the existing buildings, which we're in the process now of renovating, and renovating that to create largely single patient rooms, for all of our community members, which we see as a real step forward in high quality care. It's just, a single patient room is just a great way to provide great infection control, allow healing space, for patients and caregivers. It's I think, a wonderful leap forward for care in the community. And with that, a lot of technological marvels will be in that building. We're creating a substantial portion of those rooms with what's called negative pressure, which is essential when you're dealing with, respiratory and airborne illnesses like we're seeing now. Putting in all new imaging equipment, so MRI, CAT scanners, leading edge. Have a whole new dining facility that'll be in there. And then earlier, but more importantly, I think, for our community is the creation of and the installation of an interventional cardiology lab. For certain types of heart attacks that occur in our community, we can go in and open blocked arteries with this capability. Right now, if you have that type of heart attack, you have to leave the community and go up to Albany or Poughkeepsie to get treatment. And we want to make sure we're doing that for, here and keeping folks local and saving lives local where time matters. And so we're very excited about that. That's going to be on the Mary's Avenue campus, but we're working right now with the state to bring that here sooner and earlier on the Broadway campus while we're waiting to get over to Mary's Avenue. We have a brand new temporary building sitting outside of our ER, and we'll soon be doing the construction project, small one, to connect it to our building. working with the state to get that approval for that construction project, which we expect this week or next week, and we'll move forward with that construction so that by January, February timeframe, we'll be, opening blocked arteries for folks who present with certain types of heart attacks. And we're very excited about that, bringing that service.
That cath lab represents a substantial increase in the capacity of the local medical infrastructure to handle angioplasties, install stents, and all those types of treatments that are common with heart care these days. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's exactly. And we'll also be able to do certain types of procedures to reduce arrhythmias. And so, very excited about that. And it really is saving lives. And it's really doing, what we can right here, in our community. And where time and distance matters. Ambulance rides matter. And so keeping that close.
Yeah, I think that's I'm a male in my mid-50s, so that's a welcome addition to have that
yes.
medical infrastructure local for the first time. I think that's a pretty noteworthy achievement.
Yeah, and that is very, very good to hear, and I'm glad you mentioned that because it's just the way technology has advanced across many industries, all industries, to be able to, at the same time, besides the consolidating into one campus, being able to upgrade to the latest and greatest, so to speak, technology that's out there. I mean, let's face it, the way technology races, which is a good thing on a positive note, you could literally install state-of-the-art today, and a year from now, that could be antiquated with the way technology advances. And then the other thing is, I did not realize your emergency center, emergency rooms, were 25,000 square feet, did you say?
Yes, that's what we're going to put in over Mary's Avenue. It's going to be nice, spacious.
Wow.
Lots of room for patients. Different than what we have here currently on the Broadway campus, which is a very good emergency room. But, as standards have changed over the years, the need for more space, the amount of equipment that's in rooms. So this gives us, a real margin for, being able to incorporate new technology, new equipment, incorporate families and care planning in the ER. There's a lot that goes into having that much space. It enhances care.
Fantastic. That's awesome to hear, Doctor.
Well, thank you.
You touched upon it
construction.
Briefly. And I think we can do a whole show about the capital project. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
But I do think our listeners would appreciate knowing a little bit. You guys have made significant planning and have identified opportunities in the event that the current COVID surge gets worse. You do have the opportunity to, I think you guys have a surge capacity to have more ICU beds to anticipate if there's increased demand.
Yes, that's correct. So, all hospitals required to have a surge plan, so we have that. But working with the state's providing us, guidance on how to implement, how to roll that out. And last week, not unexpectedly, got a directive from the state to make sure we've increased our bed capacity by 25%, which we've done. So we have those beds available. We can staff them. We have the PPE for that. We haven't needed that yet, but we're ahead on that regard going into a holiday period, where potentially we could see another increase a few weeks down the road in cases. And so, we're prepared for that, which then, from a planning standpoint, moves us down the road of, okay, how do we get another 25%? And we've identified how we would do that here on the Broadway campus. Haven't had to activate those beds, if you will, or staff them, but we have a plan in place for that. And so that's going on the capacity, the supply of beds. We have worked well. I think had tremendous support and partnership with the county, Mr. Ryan and his team over there with, getting the testing site. So when we established the testing site, the county called up and said, can you do a testing site? On a Thursday, we had it up the following Monday. So, great response, great support from WMC Health. And then this time around, we were looking at the winter, looking at things like, storms coming, and we had tents over there. And the county came up with a phenomenal solution to put in some, Connex buildings, an aluminum garage over there. So now we have a hardened facility, a winterized facility over there that allow us to continue to provide testing to our community throughout the winter, almost regardless of weather. I think tomorrow morning we'll not have the test site open in the morning, but we shifted the hours to the afternoon when we expect the storm to have lifted. The test site's open 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Monday. And now 7 days a week it's open. I was going to say Monday through Friday. No, it's 7 days a week now, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's available to our community. You can call and get an appointment through our central appointment center. No doctor's note is needed, no doctor's order. We take care of all that on the phone, and folks can drive up or walk up. And so it's a great resource.
What is now the turnaround on test results?
So, a lot of it varies on demand and how much are coming in from the region. So 1 to 3 days, I think there's an outlier of about 5 days for the turnaround. We're really trying to push that down into the 1 to 3 day window. I've been working closely with both our courier. What the tests, the swabs that are collected there, we take down to our lab in Valhalla at Westchester Medical Center. Mm-hmm. And so we've increased the number of courier runs on a daily basis to 3, having gone from 1 to 2 to 3 based on demand. So that enhances the turnaround time. And so that's where we've been able to shorten it down into that 1 to 3 day window, depending on the date, the time. And now with us going 7 days a week, we should see even that push more to the 1 to 2 day turnaround time on the results.
Now, we hear about these rapid tests and these self-administered tests. Mm-hmm. How reliable are they? What is the accuracy of those?
Yeah, so those I think are reasonably reliable in an outbreak and in symptomatic patients. Okay, I think the concern for them is in asymptomatic patients they may not be as reliable. They have a lower, it's called positive predictive value, I think is the term. I don't want to get into biostatistics that 20 years ago I studied, 30 years ago I studied in medical school, but a little rusty on right now. But the challenge around those rapid turnarounds, those 20-minute, those home test kits, is that they may not be as accurate for asymptomatic patients.
So if you're experiencing a symptom or symptoms, and let's face it, we're coming into the time of the year where every single year, literally tens, if not hundreds of thousands, come down with the flu, a bad cold, have a fever, have congestion, have a cough. Would you recommend that as a first step? Excuse me.
I think once as they become widely available, that would be the approach to do that, because it gives you sooner, especially if you have symptoms. Okay, now if those symptoms are due to something other than COVID, doesn't tell you what that is, but it may tell you that you're negative for COVID.
Well, I know there's been times in situations that I've been in where somebody has coughed, and the others have a look of scared on their desk. Yeah, they step back, put their hands up in the air, and let's face it, you get a cough all the time in the wintertime if you get a winter cold or a bout with the flu.
Yep. And so what when a patient presents here to our emergency room with symptoms, we test for all three. We test for COVID, we test for flu A, we test for flu B. We're looking across the board, and in children we test for, especially young children, what's called respiratory syncytial virus, which is a RSV, which is a common respiratory and can be a very serious respiratory infection in children. So we have tests that test for all of that. So those that's in the ER, but in the rapid test kits at home really going to focus on COVID.
I think we touched on, we're going to run out of time, but we did touch on one of the challenges. For folks who are asymptomatic and may test negative, they still may be able to spread the virus, which is extraordinary.
And that's where... Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And that's where, doing, the wear a mask, the wash your hands, maintain social distance becomes, key. And then similarly, as we advise, our community, if you've come in contact, then limit exposure. Really, work to isolate and not put yourself in a situation where you could be at risk to others. Through social distancing, through wearing the mask, and until you're tested. And that's where a a resource like the test site that we have can be helpful, because that test is more accurate than the rapid test kits. So exposure, when you think you've been in contact with someone, perhaps leaning more towards getting a.
Dr. Doyle, unfortunately, we are out of time. We are going to have to get you back here on this show. There were several things I was going to bring up, just did not have the time. Greatly appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule. Thank you for all you and your team does for the health and well-being of our community.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me. I look forward to coming back.
Thank you, Supervisor Fred Costello. Thank you, Supervisor Bill McKenna, who joined us virtually this morning. Thank you, Dan Gatis, and most importantly, thank you, listeners. Be well, be safe over the next 24 hours with the snowstorm and beyond. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Greg. Bye, Dan. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Fred, and very, very special thanks to Dr. Michael Doyle for being with us this last half hour from Health Alliance Hospitals. And you have been with us here at KCR, Kingston Community Radio, AM 920 and 92.5 FM, and our live streaming on mykcr.org. Talk radio at its best. Inspired discussions of, by, and for the communities. And thank you, Fred Costello, Greg Chorvas, and Bill McKenna for hosting today, Super Wednesday. And we invite you to be with us tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And until then, we wish you every success in growing and developing Kingston and all our neighboring communities. And get your sleds out. We'll see you tomorrow.
See the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, and know a mother's love